junctures from Liverpool, England.
People all over the world are just beginning to talk about the Beatles.
My model of business is the Beatles. You know, they were four very talented guys.
1, 2, 3.
Hello, my name's Paul McCartney.
This is Ringo Starr.
This is John Lennon.
I'm George Harrison.
Welcome back to the Here, There, and Everywhere podcast. I'm your host, Jack Lawless. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming David Arquette to the podcast. David is not only an accomplished actor who starred in movies such as Scream and Never Been Kissed, but he's also a passionate advocate for creativity and artistic expression. And beyond his cinematic achievements, he's ventured into the world of professional wrestling, where he's won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, and he's even explored the intricacies of the music scene, which we'll touch on in this interview. Today, David joins the podcast to dive deep into his love for the Beatles and to explore why they're still so influential and impactful on the world today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
David, thank you so much for coming on the Here, There, and Everywhere podcast. It's great to have you on.
Thanks for having me, Jack. I'm such a Beatles fan. This is an honor.
Well, it's an honor to have you on the podcast, and it's great to know that you're a huge Beatles fan. Which leads me to ask, how did you hear the Beatles for the first time?
Man, my dad was in a band called the Skymoners, and I'm not sure if they were under the Apple label or not, or EMI or something. There was some connection because they were like this folk band. They were led by Hamilton Camp, which is an old folk singer. And I just remember them playing Here Comes the Sun. I almost thought it was their song. But once I got older, I figured it out that they were just covering it. But so that was my earliest memory. And then I remember also as a kid at my friend, the Gleasons, this big Irish family, were all a bunch of boys growing up, and we had an 8-track tape and we'd play it, pretend to be the Beatles. I'm not sure what album it was, but we just loved it. I think it may have been Sgt. Pepper's. Those are my earliest memories.
And what was it about the Beatles that was so captivating?
Oh man, Here Comes the Sun. There's something so beautiful about that song. It's just become such, I think it's about a lot of the Beatles songs. They become such a aspect of our lives. They trace back to memories, and they're just within the fabric of our existence. I don't know. There's something almost, I don't know. I don't want to get too spiritual or whooshy, but very, connected to something bigger, and music and their harmonies and just the sort of emotion and message that they sent as well. That love, all their messages about love and all that.
Did they have any influence on your acting career or your decision to get into wrestling at all?
Not too much about that. I mean, I do listen to them, if I have certain scenes and stuff. I use music a lot to get me in a mood or reminisce or have memories on a certain thing. I don't know. Also, for some reason, the Beatles music, if you've lost people in your life, it brings, I don't know, it elevates the emotional content of it almost. Like it just, especially if you share memories with the music with these people.
Yeah, totally. A song that, really evokes that for me is In My Life. I hear that song and I think of all my family and friends.
Yeah, for sure. That song. I mean, they have so many. Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever. I mean, but A Day in the Life to me is my favorite Beatles song. It's sort of the ultimate, I don't know. There's something so heavy and deep about that song. Whenever it comes on, I take note of what's going on in my life and where I am, and and it always seems to come on at pivotal points.
So what kind of music would you listen to while you were preparing for a wrestling match?
For a wrestling match, I like to try to stay calm. So I wouldn't listen to too much. I know some people like to get all hyped up. I'm such a ball of nerves already. I would listen to calmer stuff, or I'm not sure what I would do. I'm waiting. I usually was just so nervous wrestling that just all caught up in my head.
Yeah. Well, how do you get over the nerves while you're preparing?
Man, I've been studying clowning recently, and it's helped me a lot. And one of the lessons my teacher, Misha Usov, this incredible Ukrainian clown, taught me that a clown performance is like a gift, and you're just presenting it to someone without expecting anything in return. Um, so when you look at it that way, it takes the edge off some of that stuff. Although one of the last performances I did in a show, I just was so nervous going to set. I was working with a bunch of really incredible actors and writers and producers and directors, and I was just like, oh, I felt nervous. So called my sisters after, and they're like, it happens to us too. Just part of the whole thing is nerves. But it's funny, you have to have a lot of confidence. That's one of the things about the Beatles. They had a lot of confidence individually, each one of them. But they also were super humble. You see Get Back and how they interact and how they even, at the peak of, sort of the stress and tension of the band, they're still communicating with, dignity. And I don't know, there's some moments in well, especially when I see George, it's sort of, he presents a song, mine.
Yeah.
They just kind of like brush it off, and it like goes on to be this iconic, beautiful song. And I don't know, you could just see the dynamic. And it's funny to understand that. I mean, as an artist, you kind of are always either battling other people's critiques or opinions of you, or your own brain, and sort of staying positive and not being destructive or something. Especially, yeah, with George. And I think Yoko got blamed a lot too. You know what I mean? So necessarily, as far as you know she and John really found the ultimate true love in each other. It's pretty epic love story. And Linda and Paul, it's all you.
Now, you had a band called
Oh,
Year
God.
2000.
I know it's the worst name in the history of bands, but yes, it was called Year 2000. We were together in 1999.
That's awesome. Now, did the Beatles have any influence on the music that you wrote with that band?
It's so funny. We had this one song, I forgot what it was called, but essentially, She's So Heavy. And when I listened back, I was like, I never even made the connection, but it's essentially sounds like the same song. So we did, yes. We were heavily influenced, probably too much. Especially just songwriting. I just listen to their music to be inspired as far as songwriting. Bozo the Clown. I'm doing a lot of Bozo the Clown stuff right now, and he's been in the studio really cutting it up and doing some music, and that's been really beautiful. And I've been just listening to Beatles station on Sirius XM nonstop. It's such a incredible station. Listening to everyone, just getting little bits of history. It's beautiful. I mean, Peter Asher alone. Breakfast with the Beatles. I don't know. I just love it.
Have the Beatles influenced your life in like any other way?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they've been the biggest voice for what I believe in is, love, the teachings of Imagine, just, a world where we understand that we're all connected. I wish that people, even if you don't have children, you were someone's child. And if they just understand that it's all about our children and how much we love our children, and even if someone's completely different or on the other side of the world, they still have their child and that love, and that's what unites us. And it's that love. That's why we don't want to have wars. It's why, we don't want, gun violence. So, and, all the sort of also a little mental health stuff and just self-love. There's a lot of stuff personally I dealt with in the past. I just know how painful it can be and how, people can beat themselves up and how we need to be kind to ourselves and each other. Hopefully we can have a better word. It's the whole hate and, anger and, all of that, which leads nowhere.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of my favorite things about the Beatles. Most of their songs are about love. And I think Paul McCartney even said that's his favorite thing about the Beatles, too. I think one of the coolest examples of that is in the song I Want to Hold Your Hand, because I don't think they ever mention love directly. But it's this, it's the song about this expression of just wanting to be close with someone. And, that's it, just holding hands.
When you're a parent too, it's like such a just a security thing. Kids are safe. I don't know, it's so beautiful. Yeah, there's so much about all of that. I mean, the fact that they went to India so early and got into meditation, I'm trying to like crack being able to meditate. It's just hard for someone with ADD and all of my stuff. But to be so early on it and, and it's so helpful, and it really is a testament to sort of what advanced thinkers they were as artists.
Now, do you have a favorite memory that's associated with the Beatles?
It's definitely the Here Comes the song, just traveling across the country. I remember hearing it and listening before I lost one of my friends specifically. So yeah, there's a few memories. Say goodbye to one of our dogs, the really, that we had for a long time. Moments like that.
Oh yeah, totally. Now, is George Harrison your favorite Beatle?
I don't know. I'm not really big on favorites because I just don't think you need them.
Right.
Because I just love all of them and I love what they all bring to it, I mean, even, not even, Octopus's Garden. I mean, it's incredible. It's such beautiful stuff everybody brought to it. So, no, I don't really have a favorite, but I like all of them for what they brought to it. I love John's angst and Paul's, optimism, all of it. George's soulfulness and Ringo's, Zen sort of quiet Buddha stuff. It's my dream. It's like such a pipe dream, but my dream would be for George and Paul. I mean, Paul and Ringo to get Danny and Julian and John. That's all the kids. Everyone come together for a big Beatles family reunion. Just have all the kids shine too. I think it would be like kind of healing. Yoko and everybody come together. I don't know. There's something to me like would be healing for the world to see. So I've pitched it. Honestly, I'm like obsessed with it. It's like we need that for world peace. It's for world peace, guys. Give peace a chance. Then you bring Led Zeppelin together too, Pink Floyd, everybody get back together, get back along, like Live Aid for the world. Hate will not take over. I'm sorry.
Oh, of course. Well, when you put it like that, there's no reason to not do it, All right. Well, here's a question for you. If you were to write a movie and you had to cast one of the Beatles as an actor in that movie, who would you cast?
Oh, man. Ringo, give it just be funny. This is a really random Beatles Arquette bit of nostalgia. I don't know if Rosanna brought it up when she was on the show, but my mom had a line in Caveman, and Ringo was the star of that film.
Oh, wow.
I think there's a random memory of going to a premiere of something or screening. I don't know, but yeah, so there's 6 degrees of separations with Arquettes and the Beatles is just 1 degree.
Oh, that is so cool. Well, no, Rosanna actually didn't bring that up, but that's so awesome. I'm going to look into that now.
Oh man, K-Fed's hilarious. He would be so good too. He's got such a dry pan sense of humor. You could just I love the the element of humor within the Beatles music. It's just so great.
Oh yeah, of course. And especially in a movie like Get Back because you see it firsthand.
Yeah, for sure. And how much influence. And for God's sake, Peter Sellers comes and stops by. You can obviously see they even hung out with funny people.
What do you think makes the Beatles relevant to audiences today?
I don't know. I think, well, it always goes back to the music. I mean, they really were just such brilliant songwriters. And the harmonies, the melodies, the songs, the stories they tell.
Yeah.
I think really that's the heart and soul of what makes them ultimately so great.
Yeah. And where do you see them in the future? Do you still see them being as big as they are now?
Yeah, I mean, who knows with everything going on right now? For sure. I mean, their influence is in everything. It's had such an impact that sometimes it goes so deep that I don't know, it's just within our, I don't know, it will be around forever. And I think, it'll continue to influence people. I love, like, I know there's some hesitation about it, but some of these mashups they're doing are just amazing. When they mash up certain, I saw one with AC/DC and someone else and Michael Jackson or something. It's pretty amazing.
And you mentioned being a father before. I'm wondering, do your kids have any favorite Beatles songs?
They know a lot of them because just by driving, which is always so funny that they can sing along and stuff. I think Here Comes the Sun is definitely a big one as well with them. For some reason, Octopus's Garden always feels like a kid's song. It's just such a, or Yellow Submarine, something very family feeling about them. I did this art piece called Pink Tank. It's the same vibe. Yellow Submarine, a pink tank.
Oh, that's
Let's just
clever.
have the sweet, war machines that don't create war anymore.
That's
All the
awesome.
bombs in the world were only fireworks.
Yeah.
And that's how you solve things. Like, okay, who's gonna do a better fireworks show?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Now, do you have any favorite Beatles albums?
It's so weird because when I was younger, I would have the albums obviously and go through different ones at different times, and albums were always like whichever ones you had, you'd wear them out. You know what I mean? But I just can't remember. I remember seeing the different albums, but nowadays it's just more like all of them. You know what I mean? You get all these, and I
Yeah.
don't really know, And then if you put your songs on shuffle, then the Beatles one comes on. I think that I call it the shuffle gods. If the shuffle gods are kind to you that day, they bring you a really sweet, like, oh, you can tell the music's like in the groove of your life.
Yeah. And what song would be the perfect song for you today if it came on shuffle?
Well, I don't know why, but I just heard. I think it's Flying for some reason. It just seems like it's been a real nice sunny day and sweet, pleasant.
Yeah, I love that song. It's really underrated.
It seems like a very soundtrack to a day.
Yeah. And how about their solo work? Does any of that work resonate with you as much as their music as a band?
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I'm amazed. It's such an incredibly beautiful love song, and Imagine to me is like one of the greatest message songs ever. Not that it meant to be a message, but just a awful song. We saw Paul at the Desert Show. That was a few years ago. I forgot what it was. If there was some desert show where Paul played, it was really just so great to see him in person. I mean, and just, I don't know, something very emotional when you see him in concert and those songs being performed live. You're sitting there and you're watching someone perform, and essentially you're also seeing your life flash, in your head, like moments of your life. It's so beautiful.
So, David, what are you up to now? Are you involved in any projects at the moment?
I bought the rights to Bozo the Clown. Took me 15 years. So that's been a big mission of mine. Now we've been doing a documentary, and we introduced Jozo Bozo, the first female Bozo the clown.
Awesome.
So we've been having fun with that and doing music and doing art and developing. We just have a coffee brand out with Breakfast at Dominic's. We're Bozo the Clown coffee. It's caramel corn flavored coffee. So, and we have a little figurine coming out from Handmade by Robots. So we've been doing a bunch of stuff. The Bozo Grand Prize game is coming back out and the bop bags. It's
Awesome.
just fun. We've been designing shirts. So it's been a fun experience, just clowning in general. There's something really wonderful about learning how to be a clown. You really tap into sort of that, bright light that's in kids' eyes. Like that light still exists in our eyes and it's in our hearts, and we can tap into that like childlike wonder of the world. And when you do that, there's something that kind of makes grown-up life a lot less stressful. You can laugh off things. You don't take yourself too seriously. You find things you really enjoy in life, and you just find beauty and calm in the finer things in life, which are just, it ends up like going for a walk, a nice breeze of wind, or, spending time with friends and laughing and, the ease of life.
That is so cool. That's such an honorable mission to be on, too. I fully commend that because I think the world is way too stressed out at the moment, and we definitely need more of that. So thank you for doing that.
For sure. Let your clown out, everybody. Let your clown out. The way I do it too, sometimes it's so ridiculous, but I'll be like washing dishes. And then I'll like immediately say like, oh, the dishes now have personalities. So hey, look. It's just completely ridiculous stuff, but it lightens life up. And, before you know it, you just...
Yeah, no, I mean, it colors in life. It makes things so much more fun. It's awesome. And where can people who are listening, where can they find updates about all of that activity?
Well, you can go to bozo.com. We do a lot of work with Healthy Humor, which is an amazing organization that sends medical clowns into 15 hospitals throughout America. So they sort of really transform the energy in a hospital and just provide, these moments of lightening up the mood in there. And a lot of people are going through some hard situations. So it's really wonderful work they do.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to include all of those links in the podcast description so everyone listening can go click on it as they listen.
Thank you so much, Jack. It's been a real honor.
Thanks for coming on, David. It's an honor for me.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Here, There, and Everywhere podcast. Thank you so much to David Arquette for coming on and being a guest. You can find all of the links that David was talking about in the podcast description, and you can find the links to his social media there as well. If you like this episode, be sure to follow this podcast so you can hear more episodes like that coming up. We have a lot of great stuff coming up in the future, so stay tuned.